Kicking ass, laughing at murder. Well, you killed yesterday, didn't you?
I killed a squirrel, yeah.
Yeah, I killed, well, I guess, I don't know. I bet you that lizard died
Okay,
yesterday.
listen, I need to know the lengths you went through to dispatch this pet lizard. You put him in the fridge, you froze him, and you're like, I think he's frozen enough, and then cut his head off. Why not just go, hey, buddy, bye, clack, and it's over?
I mean, yeah, it would have been just as painless. I don't know. You just hear about the iguanas in Florida. They freeze.
Hey, invasive species,
and then they fall out of the fucking tree. Like, those fucking things thaw out. Like, some of them come back.
Oh, they're good. No, most of them do. And
so they're like bees. So, I don't know. In my mind, like...
Well, more so than that, look at frogs and alligators, man. You can actually see them frozen. I grew up in the country. You see them frozen in the pond.
Right.
And then in the spring, they're like... like this.
Right.
Like... What happened?
So I just slowly dropped the temperature on this guy. He was in the refrigerator all day. I thought for sure that would have done him in, but he was moving. And so it's like, all right, into the freezer last night. And so he froze all night, and then that was enough to pop a head without any mess, just like an ice cube.
Can't say I wouldn't have done it that way, but that's fine. So what were we talking about earlier? Blowing away all your colleagues at work?
All kinds of stuff.
That was a different one. That was this movie we just saw. That was fucked up.
Yeah, what was that?
The Passenger.
So in that movie...
We've all known a guy like that, though. He's just quiet. He's like in the background mopping shit.
So in the movie, Bradley
shit.
Is the passenger, right?
Well, Bradley,
so he just sits shotgun and listens to this guy like just go off on all kinds of crazy shit. I almost want to put the camera...
What is going on out here? Speaking of trailer trash. Because I just pulled up my pants.
Get your classic poodle mix variety dog.
Headed back to make
He's got the shit stance. Look at he's going to shit right here in the lawn.
And they're in my yard. It's not like I have it.
This is close to shitting in your yard.
Bolt action, ready to go. Did I unload that? Oh, well.
How fast do you think we could bury somebody?
Together?
Yeah. Dude, I'll fucking dig until my heart pops. We'll have a fucking hole
I know that.
In no time.
Speaking of that.
But that'd be a big hole. That one chick was huge. You got the dog and the other chick.
Hey, we got to stick to the program. Burying chicks, right?
That's the program.
No, I'm sorry, man. You fucked me up with that. No, so I messed up. I was going to say I messed up the last story that I can sum up in 45 seconds.
The Bootcamp story.
Yeah, the Bootcamp story. I got distracted, convoluted, but here's how it goes, man.
Lights in here, by the
way? You get accepted. Not really.
You never did have lights. It was just natural lighting?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So you get blah, blah, blah. You get your package. You go to the recruiter, bam, you're done, blah, blah, blah. They've got your birth certificate, Social Security, blah, blah, blah. Now you're going to go to MEPS, MEPS, which is, what is that, military entrance physical exam, or physical selection. That's what it is.
MEPS, yeah.
Yeah, that's military... it's where you go and you duck walk naked and a bunch of old Nazi.
Yeah, they give you a little test to see what they're going to make you do.
Well, that's what so I went there like 3 a.m. and 3 or 4 a.m. and then went with my recruiter in a government van with like 4 other people. So you go there and there's all these guys and you get to MEPS and you go straight in there and by then it's like 5:30, 6 a.m. and you take the exam. You take the ASVAB. Yeah. And which you probably already took when you were 17 or 18 anyway at some point, but you have to take it right then. Even though they've already said, yeah, you're going to the Marines. So I was like, okay. Took the ASVAB, and mostly what the ASVAB is, man, it goes from basic to as hard as you can get. Depends on, and there's just big 4 buttons. A, B, C, D. And they give you some scratch paper, right?
We had a computer.
Well, no, I was at a computer.
You had giant buttons.
Yeah, A, B, C, D, something like that, I think.
Good job. Question 3.
Loser. And then the fucking floor opens up and you're gone, bro. Then you're working in the chow hall. No, so you do this shit. And that went by, and it's mostly the questions are math and, this and that. Do you understand? Can you write and read and all that? But the ones that work got deeper and deeper for me were the cogs. It shows like all these different gears.
Oh, yeah.
If this cog is moving that way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What cog would this one be moving? And you just go.
You just serpentine your way through the cog.
Yeah, and you're fine. A lot of people can't do that apparently.
Yeah.
So I finished that, and you go through a bunch of medical stuff that's it's shit you've never been through or seen in your entire life. You go in there.
Like penises?
No, nothing like that. You walk into this office, and there's this 90-year-old doctor in the corner holding a pen and paper like this, and he goes, come in, turn around, drop your skivvies, bend over, spread your butt cheeks, okay, pull your skivvies up, thank you.
Arguably worse than penis.
And it was just quick. Yeah. You're going to get fixated on something. I'm going to ask you not to, because you're going to keep bringing that up. You're going to go, penis.
I don't know. You fed me enough alcohol. I might lose my train of thought.
I don't know what you're talking about. So then you go out there, and then they do the duck walk, which 3 of them gathered around me because I'm partially flat-footed. Yeah. And I'm like trying so hard to get up on the balls of my feet. They're
just like a duck.
One guy was like, yeah, like they do. And he goes, he's okay. And I was like, that's it. Life over, man.
Yeah.
And then you go through all this shit, and you pass that, and then you go into this room. It was pretty nice, but it has every state flag in it. It's this big-ass room. You go there and swear in, and a blue carpet.
Right.
Yeah, but it's pretty worn.
Right.
It's like
presidential.
They could have replaced the carpet because it looks all beat up, like my friend's house who lives on a wood stove, you know?
Yeah.
And so you go in there, and you're like, okay, and you do this thing. And I'll never forget the dude right next to me. He was jacked, man, like ripped up. And he goes, I can't believe I'm doing this, man. And I'm like, what? He's like 4 years older than me. That's what he said. And he goes, yeah, I was already in the Army. Now I'm joining the Marines. Jeez. And I was, or he was in the Marines and joined the Army. One of the two.
The multi-branch guys always go in and out of Army at some point. They either start there or go in and come back out.
Well, because there's this falsehood about the Army when you're in the Marine Corps that they're just this basic troops, barely know how to shoot a rifle, which is absolutely not true. The Army infantry is probably one of the most deadly, devastating forces on the planet Earth. And that's true. And then you've got Army Rangers, which they use for a plethora of real-world missions constantly.
Right.
And I was honored to even do anything side by side with those cats, because those cats are true infantry, man. They give a guy a compass, even these days. You give an Army Ranger a compass and a few basic things, and he's going to kick some ass, man. So, but they send Marines to Army Ranger School because it's that extra little bit, like calling for fire, or airport. You need to know these things.
Yeah.
Survival, everybody gets that, blah, blah, blah. And the basics they don't even think about are physical fitness and things like that. Because really, it's about physical fitness, but that's almost like not even a checkbox. Like, you should have that before you even give it a shot.
Every American. I don't give a shit if you want to fight. Like, you should be able to walk and run. For Christ's sake.
Yeah. For the love of all that's holy.
You got 2 legs. It's half your body.
Yeah, you know that peg thing?
Jog. Go for a run.
But anyway, so how it worked was, so you do that, and then you go and you swear in, or whatever. I might be shaking on that specific order. But then eventually that's all done, and then you go and meet with a career guy.
Yeah.
And he always goes, Lejour, has got your folders in? Come with me. And, Marine Corps, he does like these 8-foot strides, like, this is how we walk. Yeah. And I'm like, God, I got to jog.
You shuffle, hopping.
Keep up with this guy. We go into the office, and he's like, puts it down and goes, so you volunteered 03, 0311, 0331, and 0352 was your last choice. What if I told you can do anything you want in the Marine Corps? What would it be? And I was like,
kick ass and chew bubble gum.
No, I didn't have the balls to say anything like that at that time. I was just so glad to be there.
You're in luck.
And I was just like...
a lot of bubble gum.
Well, he was like, all 3 of these choices are infantry.
Yeah.
He's like, but dog, you can do anything you want. And so I took that literally, and lack of sleep and all that, so I was like, fine, I want to fly. And so,
I was just getting ready to say, I want to fly jets.
Boom! I know Marines fly jets. I want to fly jets. Off carriers, please. Can't be that hard. I've met some of those guys, and they're douchebags. And he's like, they're cool douchebags, but he's like, got to get the college degree. I'm like, damn it! Flip the desk over. This is all bullshit. Yeah, right. Guy's like 6'6", looks like fucking Gunny Death. And I was like, okay. And he just kind of smiled. Like, can't do that. I thought, I wanted to say, what are you saying? I kind of knew that was off the table, but I thought, why not just throw it out there?
Yeah, president.
Because maybe there's like a new thing. We're like, all right, well, you're going to Pensacola. I'd be like, what? Of course, in the Marines, you'd have to go to Quantico first, their program, be an officer, and then go to Pensacola. That's what they do. But anyway, so he said, all right, any other questions for me? Like, he was kind of like, oh, he left. He goes, I'm going to leave you with this book. Every page on there is a job you could have in the Marine Corps. I'll be back in a few. Just come up with another 3 wish list. I was just like, yeah, done. He comes back, he's like,
Ass kicker supreme.
He thought it was funny. And he's just like, okay, what else you got for me? And I was like, can I go to boot camp sooner, man? It was like 6 months out. I don't want to wait 6 months. Yeah. And he goes, you know what? And he picks up the fucking phone just like that. Like he's the goddamn president. Picks it up and he's like, yeah, got this, 091, like whatever my shit was. And then he goes, yeah, he's an alpha, meaning I'm not a retard. You know, I would love to say it meant I was really smart. But if that were the case, I'd be in another office going, look, how about special forces, right? But they were like, any job you want. Not that. Not that? Okay. Stick to the original. And so he goes, yeah, he's not. And then bam, they shaved it off by 3-4 months. And that's it. Then they gave me this whole package, shit to do. And what I never understood was they gave me this thing of like what to have. And when it turns out you could show up to boot camp butt naked as long as you had your orders. Yeah. And they'll give you everything. I showed up with like extra running shoes and all the shit. Bro, they took all that. So, but here's the cool part. So from there, like, I've already done everything else. I'm going to the Marines. And they put you in, like, a waiting room, which is... And then finally, they took us to BWI, Baltimore Washington International Airport, put us on a plane, and we flew to South Carolina. But I couldn't understand why they waited so long, dude. It was 3 a.m. we get there, so you're fucking exhausted already by the time you get to the airport. And then they fly you down there, and it turns out the guy next to me, this short, stocky dude, he's an actual, definitely a Navy SEAL. And I'm sitting there holding my orders because, they tell you, lose that shit, you're going to Leavenworth, right?
You're just rolling.
You're just like holding this shit. And so the guy sits down, he's like this, he looks at me, he's like, got orders going to boot camp, going to Parris Island? And I was like, fuck off, dude. Yes, obviously, right? And then he proceeds. Now we're at high altitude, and the pressure. So all I hear is, and this guy's telling me how he's like, well, I'm in the SEAL teams. I wish I would have known more about SEAL teams, but because my dad's a Vietnam vet, all he ever told me about them was they're frogmen, and then what they do basically.
So you just known about them at that point?
Barely knew about him. I had seen the bullshit movie Navy SEALs, but I didn't think the guy was going to fucking open up the airplane door and jump out.
I actually got in later. I saw the Discovery Channel documentary. Like, that was months before.
I knew they were elite. Don't get me wrong. I knew they were, like, they were even more so elite than what people would consider recon Marines. But then you got Force Recon Marines, which are different recon Marines, and now you got Marine Raiders. And I kind of feel like, they all have definitely something in common in that, but that's neither here nor there. But it was interesting. But at that time, I had this weird feeling like, fuck off, dude. I don't care. I'm like, great. That's not what I'm into right now. And and he talked to me the whole time, but I just wish I wasn't so sleep deprived and distracted. Yeah. Then I would have really appreciated what he had to say. Yeah. But then it turns out once we landed, again, he's talking to me. He's like, hey, see those planes out there? And I'm like, yeah, I see the planes, man. And he's like, those are new.
The ones at the airport? Yeah.
So then he goes, he's like, hey, Rick. And then there's another 4 dudes just like him with these black duffel bags. And I'm like, only then is it like, this motherfucker is the real deal. Yeah. And they all get off together. And, of course, we all get off the airplane, and there's that mean Marine there I was telling you about. There's no drill instructors to meet you at the airport. That's ridiculous. But there are uniformed Marines, and they ain't having it. If you have questions, I'd like to get a sandwich. They're like, shut the fuck up. Get over there. You know what I'm saying? They're like, that's what I told you. That's when I heard the one guy, he's like, man, you here now, motherfucker. Like, you're at Paris Island. So, look around, bitch. Yeah. Don't be asking for dumb shit. We'll tell you what you need.
Eat your sandwich.
So, not yet. And then they let you go to the bathroom, and then the 3 Navy SEALs, I don't know where the other guy went, he said something smart when he left. He's like, hear that toilet flush? And so that pissed me off even more. I was just like, you know what? You're a fucking faggot. You couldn't just be like, hey, best of luck. Hear that toilet? You know, I had to be a smart ass and like, I'm going to go Halo jump now with my fucking kick-ass friend. And it's like, I get it, bro, but...
You think I'll see it landing? Yeah, think again. Kicks that emergency door open, bro. Jumps out of the commercial aircraft.
You can get shot in the back of the head like anybody else, asshole. But anyway, aside from that dick, I'm not, my dad's Navy. My whole family's Navy. But that kind of ruined it for me for a little while. I was like, you know what? Fuck you, dude. Dick-ass thing to say. Whatever he said. And then... But then the weird thing is they put you in this perfect square in the middle of a civilian airport, like off to the side, like where the windows are. I mean, you've been to airports. Everybody's been to airports. Can you imagine just like, I've got to make my next foot, and then you look to your left, and there's, hey, baby, and then there's 200 or like 100 kids, what they look like, all sitting Indian style. I don't know if you can say that. Can you say Indian style anymore? You got to say left over right, right over left. So anyway, they're sitting cross-legged on the ground, and you're not allowed to look up, left, right, or say anything. They're like, look at the ground, shut up. and for a long time, dude. And you're like, is this a test? Like, as one of us gets up and goes, hey, this is torture and bullshit. You're winner. So
it's funny how you process waiting and big like delays like that before you actually get into the military.
We haven't even,
dude. Had I had a military experience, and then they're like, "Look at the floor," I'm like, "Nice, make this my entire 8 weeks."
So I didn't think it was a big deal.
I'll stare at this motherfucker for 8 weeks. Like,
do I graduate after this? so I was like, I can do this. Exactly, like what you said, like no problem. Mm-hmm. And then you start hearing people like, like a little bit of shit.
Yeah.
And they're waiting. Finally, get up. You know, now the airport traffic is minimal. There's like one person walking through, going, "Who the fuck are these people?" like 9:00 at night, whatever, 2100, whatever you want to call it. And then they filter you down to a room that you've never been to in any airport ever, and it's just this empty, and it looks like a public school kitchen.
Yeah.
Like the red tile, and it's squeaky clean, and then there's just these fold out plastic picnic tables everywhere, like looking things. And you're like, blah, blah, and you sit down, right? And then like, heads down, so you have to sit on this picnic table with your head down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, here we are again. And I didn't give a shit, dude. I was 20. A lot of these kids are 17, 18, 19. Yeah. They didn't have all this where I didn't give a fuck. And then all of a sudden, they make you sit like that for a long time. It's hours. And then all of a sudden, you hear people crying. And that's when I started to go, oh, I guess this is weird. Because, dude, I had already been to, like, Outward Bound in Asheville, North Carolina, a little mountain climbing thing. That was 28 days away from home. Like, I'd been to these different things. So it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't my first time away from home. And I was older. So it was just easier. And I never took into account how many kids fresh out of high school were going to be there. So they were legit crying, especially girls, whatever. You could hear it. Then they come around with this balled up, unreasonably cellophane wrapped sandwich with just meat on it. And like, you're trying to eat this thing.
Does it get all plastic off?
And they give you like, a Nestea, which is just syrup. Mm-hmm. To put that shit down, like, I actually just want to water. So you're like, I don't really like this, but I'm eating the whole thing because they're giving it to, again, I believe they're giving this shit to me for a reason.
Right.
So I crushed it.
There's super serum.
Yeah.
Deep inside.
I feel stronger. So I crushed that, and you're like waiting around. And what they're doing is, they're just waiting until it gets about 11:30, so 23:30 at night, and that's when they're gonna actually put you on the bus to Paris Island because they only do receiving at midnight. Like
what was it so Baltimore to Paris Island? What was it, like an hour and a half flight, 2 hour?
Well, not even. Yeah, maybe an hour or something like that.
So you arrive butt crack
minutes.
early, get processed in, and then you're
when we were at the airport, so they took us to Baltimore Washington International Airport, BWI, or maybe it was Reagan, one of those.
Yeah.
And they tell you four stick together, or you're going to Leavenworth. I mean, don't lose your orders, or you're going to Leavenworth. It's that simple. So believe me, we stuck together pretty well. And
we're all going together.
Yeah, and you know what they do in Leavenworth? They bust rocks for fun. That's
and
it.
They have sex with you. I'm not ready to have sex.
So anyway, that's how it goes. So you get there, and that's where they're starting to collect all these people, right? East of Mississippi. And then they're like, you've been sitting with your head down on this table for I don't know how long, and then they're like, now get up, And then last name, this and that. You go this way, you go that way, you go this way. And I'm going outside, and all of a sudden, everyone kind of gets away from me because I think I dropped something or something. Oh, of course, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, buses are going, they're pulling away. And I was like, are you kidding me? I missed the bus to go to boot camp, and I'm in South Carolina.
Yeah.
But then one guy's like, what are you doing? And I was like, going to my bus. And he goes, let me see your folder. He's like, it's that way. Like, fuck. So I ran, got on the bus, and it was funny because, like, a lot of the seats were taken. I got in the back, and everybody was nice because everyone's scared, man.
Yeah.
And got on there, and I figured it out. This was all dudes. There were no women on this one. There were women everywhere else.
Yeah.
And this is all dudes. What the fuck is going on?
Just size that bike.
Oh, maybe she got it.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
That was rough. Anyway, I think she walked it uphill, and that's not even a murder hill, man. It's not even that hard.
Fuck, man.
She's still like. So anyway,
at least they're doing shit.
Better than nothing.
Yeah.
So here I am. I think I missed the bus at the airport. What are you doing? He makes me get on the bus. So now we're driving, and of course I can't really fall asleep or anything. I'm not tired because you're interested in what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
Then the buses slow down, and you realize you're going over this, what seems like a 5-mile bridge. It's just one bridge, and it goes over all the swamp, all the marshlands. And you look, and then the smell, after a while, you can smell that marshland, that salt, that brine. And then suddenly you're on Paris Island, and you drive. The first thing I noticed was the look of it. Very factory, all the above ground piping. That follow the street, all this above ground. And I was like, dude, where the fuck am I? This is crazy. Pull up, just like what you think, and then they open the bus doors. Dude gets on, yells at you, get off my bus. So you get down, you get the yellow footprints, and that's all. And I was surprised. Hold your orders. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And they file you in, and one thing I forgot is I think you actually do. They start to separate you right then. You here, but you're still in these big groups. But they don't waste a second, dude. You roll in, and I don't remember if the first thing they do is they have like 100 payphones, but they're not payphones. But
I remember those.
And they give you this card.
Yeah.
No, it says right on there.
Yeah.
You call, and it doesn't matter if it's an answering machine. Somebody answers, they're like, well, how was the trip? Did you eat? You're just going, they received me at Paris Island. That's all you can do. And they're standing there. And go ahead and mess around, too.
Yeah.
I saw other people get chewed out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So then they do that, and then the next thing, they shave your head to the skin.
Yep.
And I had never in my life had that.
Neither.
And so once they shaved your head to the skin, you go somewhere else and put your head down.
How do you feel about your bald head?
Okay, so I couldn't believe how cold it felt. I was like, God bless America, that's wild. And I didn't care. First of all, I knew it was going to happen. Everybody knows that's what's going to happen. And it was like, well, here we are again with our heads down, and it's another classroom. And then before you know it, you're signing paperwork about who you want to leave everything to if you die. And I remember that.
Right.
And then this is Marine Corps boot camp now. It's different. And then they start to shift you into, I thought, okay, we're not getting uniforms issued or anything yet. No, you filter to another place where they give you some class on something, and you're barely able to pay it. You're like, yeah. But it's about breaking the laws and shit. And they're just they're trying to keep on asking the same questions until you admit, I don't know what. Maybe there's people that lie about shit. I don't know. But I was blown away at this one dude that I was kind of close to me the whole time. And we get there, and he comes out of this office with his paper. He's like, I'm going home, man. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Now I'm scared.
Right.
I made it, like, I've been waiting for this, man. Yeah. I need this.
Dude, right next to you got bounced.
And I'm like, what happened? He's like, and when he told me, the relief that washed over my body was ridiculous, because I realized right then he was fucking retarded. Pussy, full of shit. He goes, well, I had this concussion when I was a kid. Jumped off diving board, hit my head, didn't tell him about it, so I'm done. And I was like, what?
That's not even that's not even a confession. You would have to state that multiple times.
There's some shit, man. But
until they're like, we get it, dude. We'll send you back.
Yeah, not only that, I think that at that stage,
was the answer. I remember doing that shit. I was like, you ever break anything? Like, I've never broken anything major, but my toes, multiple fingers, fucking my nose.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, I didn't say anything. Like, all of the
things
I
didn't break.
Actually. Like you breaking that.
Plus, they gave you x-rays.
Nothing important.
I was thinking, you already checked me out medically, so why are you fucking with me right now?
Like, I know this works. At fucking 18, I knew how it worked. Like,
exactly.
If I say yes to something,
you know what else?
Trouble.
They lie about? They went and they told me. They went and they told me that. And don't lie about what drugs you've done. We can take a hair follicle and test that, and we'll know everything from the time you.
Yeah, and bring it out. Bring the fucking.
So hold on. I asked my younger brother about this, but he was in military school. Not like that would make. But right away he comes back and he goes, "Ha! Do you know how expensive that would be to test every recruit?" And the thing is, man, as long as you're sober when you get there, fuck it. I don't care. And then also, if you're wasted on acid flashbacks, probably not going to join the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what I think I need right now? A machine gun. So I can handle that. While running. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, I was shocked that this guy's going home already.
Yeah.
But he seemed, I could see it. I'm not stupid. Again, I was older. I was 20.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this motherfucker's glad to be going home.
Yeah. You can see the cowardice.
Yeah. He's like, you know what? Not for me.
Yeah.
Get yelled at for 5
hours in the sun.
So then, here's the shitty part for me. I was in the best shape of my life. Then waiting around for the Marines, all I did was drink beer and party, and I fucking got fat. Yeah. So now I'm sitting there, and people are looking at me like, "How is this guy? Like, he looks pretty chubby." And so, but
I have a particular set.
But here's this thing. Doesn't matter about this. So I'm not gonna. They give you this sack, and you just walk down these rows where they throw in clothes that you need, right?
Yeah. That's what we had.
But you're in your you're almost naked.
Yeah, you're in your underwear.
And what used to be, and then they're up on these wooden planks, so their feet are right at your. And I'm tall, man. I'm 6'2". They're walking around like that, and so they're just looking down at you. And here's the best part: half of them are female.
Yeah.
And they're walking. They got Smokey Bears, man, and they're just as scary as anybody else. They walk around like, "Hey, look at the fat one," and so you're like, and in my head, I'm like.
See you about somebody else.
I'll see you in I was like, I'll see you in a few weeks, cunt. It makes me mad. And but females, even at that time, they had more feelings than the other guys. Because then the other drill sergeant's like, hey, fuck, no boy. And then the one female drill instructor, these are things that left impressions on me. One, she goes, well, it'll be totally different here in about 4 weeks. Like, you're going to be better, And just that little bit, you know? You're like, all right. And then they go, and they have these boots nailed to a fucking board. They're like, put your fucking foot in the boot and see which one fits. Well, they all kind of felt the same to me. He's like, looking at you, and you're like, it's not like you're like, let me try the other one. You get one shot at this. Bro.
Yeah.
He's like, I thought you said it fit. Like, yeah, it does. It fits. Just give me those. So they give you, what they used to, they don't do it anymore, but you got all leather boots called your Cadillacs, and then you get a set of Jungles.
Okay.
They're black on black, but they have the fabric in the ankle.
Yeah.
But mostly in boot camp, you wear Cadillacs because you're shining them all the time.
They give us these low-cut, fucking shitty fucking Bates.
Well, then after that,
wooden soled.
That's funny because Bates later sell. You had to buy them. Back in the 90s, they were $139.
They had nice brands. That's not what they give you in the name.
But anyway, it's funny. Well, I showed up with what I spent a lot of money on in the civilian world with these Nike running shoes with arch support. Yeah. They took that, threw it in a paper bag with all my other shit, stapled it shut, put my fucking name on it. You see that shit in fucking 3 months, motherfucker.
That is your arch support.
Yeah, fat, pretty stupid. You know, highly emotional.
Sorry,
no,
sir.
I'm just kidding.
You wait till my arches act up.
Yeah, go ahead and say that.
You'll be sorry.
No, nobody says shit. Trust me. Just their demeanor, dude. They're walking around. You're just cattle moving through this thing.
Yeah,
and they're walking around above you all the time, looking. And I realized also it's no fucking joke. Some of these cats had P2. What do they call them? Like the bats.
Oh yeah.
Like you want to get out of hand?
Clubs.
Yeah, shit like that. But anyway, but you have to volunteer. You have to want to be there.
That means some shit has to have gone down.
At least once.
People lose their fucking minds in that process.
Yeah, got to beat them down. But I have to say, I only saw that like maybe once.
Yeah.
But they have it. But anyway, so you're walking around. You're shame. You can't get any more shame than that. But I absolutely loved it because I was like, this is where I belong. I don't care. You can shame me all you want. I know I'm gonna be successful. And so you go through that, and then they give you these running shoes, right? And never forget, they're New Balance. They're just standard gray, plain running shoes.
Yeah.
But I remember getting the shit from my recruiter saying, "We're going to some running shoes." No, because you're all going to wear the same or nothing at all.
Yeah.
So you get all this shit, and then finally you're wearing this camouflage. It doesn't have any name tapes on it. It doesn't even say anything because you're a shitball. You're a recruit. And then they put you into another group, and all night they keep you asking these questions. And you have these classes. You never have any idea what time it is. And then also they keep you in this first giant receiving building. There's no windows. If there are, they're closed. And that's where you sign all this paperwork to, if you die, who's everything going to, blah, 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 blah. Banking, they got to get your information because you do get paid while you're in boot camp. It doesn't mean shit. You're not going to see any of it till the end of boot camp. But anyway, then you get all this crap, and your boots aren't even bloused, nothing. You finally get some clothes on. They finally move you into your receiving barracks. And this is not your drill instructor that's going to be teaching you. He's a drill instructor that's gentler because it's still receiving, right? And receiving means there's people coming from all over the country. They're trying to form these new platoons.
We got our guys right away.
Yeah.
It
took us a full week almost.
We did the whole process. You get your different bags. You're putting all your toiletries in there.
They march you over to the PX, but you can't just buy stuff. They tell you, get this, 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 and this.
That was a weekend. Like a weekend, we made another trip, and then you could get razors and whatever extras you need that you didn't.
Yeah, but they took all that from us and collectively put it in, what they used to call that closet. There's some closet at the end of the quarterdeck where they would keep the mug jug. Yeah. Everyone had to buy that blue shit, the aftershave and alcohol, and had to buy this, and then you had to buy it. Yeah. Then you dump it out, the drill instructors take it, and they put it all in one thing. And it's this big jug full of cotton balls. And when you come out after shaving in the morning, like a madman, right? Because you have to grab one of those cotton balls and smear it all over your face. And you're like, I didn't mind it, but some guys are like, it burns. I'm like, really, bro?
I was just barely growing, because I was 18.
I didn't fucking do it. So I was barely 20 and I still didn't.
I would shave. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go through the motions. Like, there's not much there, but there was some there to come off.
Good training, I guess.
But I mean, God, after boot camp, it would just grow out of your.
Oh yeah, go ahead and show up Monday morning formation without a shave in the Marine Corps.
God, yeah, I got a decent story.
Come here, killer.
Why
you fucking shave? I talk like that all the time.
Boot camp, I was fine. I mean, they make you do it every morning, but like with sub school, where you get a little bit more freedom, there's a little bit on you to take care of shit. And I reported to sub school, and they did it. They did surprise inspection, and I was a day old shave, right? Still not even 19 yet. Still, so it just
Just doesn't matter.
Barely. Yeah,
doesn't matter because they know you didn't make the effort.
This dude was E6. Like, he spotted me. This guy gave me an opportunity at lunch to go shave. And I honestly, I don't remember what happened. You didn't. Everything was distance away. You had to jog to get everywhere. You had an hour to eat. So that means if you wanted to eat, you'd go crush food. Then you got to get back to barracks, get your shave, and then get back with your group in formation and march back to schoolhouse. And I just didn't do it. I just up and didn't do it. So he re-inspected everyone.
You had one job.
And there I am, and so he had us, in Groton, Connecticut, it's the base. There's all kinds of shitty hills. I mean, extreme hills. And I don't know how people get around that place in the wintertime. If anything freezes and get icy, like you're but I mean, it felt like you were on a mountain almost, marching around there. But there was this parking lot outside of the schoolhouse, BESS, Basic Enlisted Submarine School, and there are these rocks about like this. They're in the ditch all around the parking lot, and he goes, it was me and two other guys, these short, little, chubby, sloppy. I'm like, that would piss me off more than anything. Yeah, I was lumped in with this.
I'm with this group,
and that's the impression I gave this guy. And you're never going to get rid of that impression.
Yeah, that's what you think
like
anyway.
Like that dude's got you in this group until he dies.
That's what you think anyway. But yeah,
and so I'm like, so like I'm like sucking it up, like taking the punch. He goes, I want you to take all those rocks out of that ditch and put them one next to the other around the whole parking lot.
Done.
And so I'm like, got it. So I'm like 3 to 4 boulders.
Yeah, I'm not getting one at a time.
Oh, I'm getting shit done.
And the other guys are like,
like they're like picking the good one out of the ditch,
This one should take up more space.
And so 2 hours goes by. I'm non-sump, and there's this big window, and the sub school oversees this parking lot. So, and it's tinted windows, right? And of course, so, this motherfucker is in his office watching us. Yeah. Pump rocks back and forth. So I'm not giving the satisfaction. I'm crushing these.
I would say that's what I would be like. Done. And whatever's in your mind, motherfucker, I'm gonna do it twice as fast. You watch.
And so I got it all done, right? And we go up, meet the guy. I'm the only one with sweat coming through my utilities. The other guys.
What would be in my mind too is how in the hell these other two cats thought that would be okay.
Yeah. And so he was like, "All right, put them all back."
Done.
I'm like,
don't show any emotion.
So I'm crushing it, and then sun sets. It's like 8:39. I'm like, that went home. Like he ain't up there anymore.
I've been through that.
Because he said, get it done.
No, the reason he did that because he knows he's going to be up there.
He left immediately. And like I put another 3 hours into moving rocks. So.
He gets a phone call the next day.
But he's coming in the next morning to see the rocks. So I'm like, we still got to get it done. So I moved all the rocks back into the ditch, and I didn't have to interact with that guy again. Like,
isn't that fun? What a waste.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if he processed or he just if I moved to A school, I don't recall 100%.
So Marine Corps boot camp it's different in the way that so you go through that 72 hours. You don't sleep. And they keep beating you up on questions. And you actually see a lot of people go home. And we haven't even trained.
Yeah.
Then you get to your forming platoon. It's a big platoon, and you go into a barracks. And this is wild, man. This is a platoon you're going to be with forever. Mine was 2113, 2113. And you go in there, and that's where they basically teach you how to blouse your boots and wear the uniform, right, a little bit. And you have these little classes. Again, they're waiting for more people to filter in or other classes to graduate, and they're going to move you into that barracks, right? Because now you're in receiving barracks. And I'll never forget this. The bed, so the racks, they call them, of course, they call them racks. And probably in the Navy, too, we use the same language.
Yeah, racks.
It was so incredibly soft. Like the rack, because these things are beat, and plus they're wavy.
There's no springs in them.
No, they're like all lumpy and wavy.
I don't know.
But I slept like a fucking
they're
baby.
Awesome. They're fucking.
I slept like a baby. However, I did notice that when I'd wake up, one or two of my limbs would be dead asleep, like not like
really?
like tingling because I'd never slept on this weird shit before. Yeah. And I was like, God damn! And I shit you not, I heard. It sounded like a big slab of meat hitting the concrete, and that's pretty much what it was. He was the biggest nerd in the whole platoon. He apparently couldn't breathe through his nose. He's like,
he fell out of the bunk?
Yeah, he went like this. I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye, but I didn't believe it. He kind of went.
I always woke up to a trash can.
It was the best thing. So again, we're informing. It's not the, oh, get out of that rack yet. And he smacks the ground. I was like, oh my God, that was so funny. But I don't know any of these guys, man. And so it also seemed like every time we turned around, they're feeding us. Because in civilian life, you don't eat 3 meals a day, on time, But it seemed like, it's like, oh, time to eat breakfast, you better hurry up. And then you eat breakfast, and then, oh, time to eat lunch, you better hurry up. Dinner time. But then, I'm telling you right now, dinner time is like 16:30, 1700.
Yeah.
So you get up, in Marine Corps boot camp, you get up, I think it's 04:30, until that last week of the Crucible. Once you complete the Crucible, Reveille is 05:30, like everybody. Well, I'm trying to explain the actual things of boot camp, because it kills me when people say they don't remember boot camp. Yeah. Anyway, so you're informing, and that could either be a couple days or whatever. And then finally, one day informing you're informing your future drill instructors will come by to review you. And they walk around, and I'll never forget, it was the weirdest thing. Still, drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Staff Sergeant Span, bad motherfucker. He came around, and he was walking through the ranks while we were sitting Indian style, listening to some class about, I don't know, how to lock your foot locker. And he just walked through the ranks going, I see it. I'm like, see what? And because this guy is going to be your drill instructor, one of them. And at least in my case, I was 2113 was my hotel company, was my platoon. And that was drill instructor Staff Sergeant McClellan, drill instructor Staff Sergeant Span, and drill instructor Staff Sergeant Pushpalm. He was a Thai guy. And that son of a bitch was so stacked with ribbons, it was pretty wild. I was just saying that my drill instructors, people think you have one, but we had 3 right off the bat. And no Marine will forget his drill instructors. They might forget one, but they'll at least remember one. But you have at least 3.
Yeah, we had 3.
You have senior drill instructor. He wears a shiny black belt.
Yeah,
that's Daddy.
Smith.
And then you have what they call heavies, the guys that just heavy with the discipline. And so we had drill instructor Staff Sergeant Span and drill instructor Staff Sergeant Pushpalm. And Pushpalm, I mean, dude, say that 9 times. That was one of the things that probably helped me later on in life, because I had to really concentrate when I talked to this guy. Request permission to speak to drill instructor Staff Sergeant Pushpalm. But this cat was force recon, everything. He's a short dude. And he had scuba bubble, combat jump wings with the gold ones, not just the silver ones, and just ribbons. And so guys looked at him like, what the fuck? Because drill instructors only wear their uniforms on Fridays. And then they wear the sword, NCO sword and everything. But then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they wear camis. Yeah. But they wear their belts. But anyway, so forming, you get picked up from forming, and that's... Oh, I thought that was heat coming off that. Finally, you get picked up, and pick up, that's a wake-up call, because these guys that you've known for 4 or 5 days, you've gotten a little closer to, because it's this crazy traumatic shit you're going through. Oh, and you run the initial strength test, IST, which I think is 1.5 miles total, is the run. Yeah, it is. And then max pull-ups, max sit-ups. It was back then. Now they have a new combat fitness test, which I think is probably equally as hard, but more effective than just running 3 miles, doing as many pull-ups as you can, and as many push-ups as you can. And you have to get a certain amount to pass, or they put you in what is dubbed pork chop platoon. but it's PCP preconditioning platoon, but PCP pork chop platoon, meaning fat boys.
Right.
I made the IST, went in and boot camp, and then you when your drill instructors officially pick up, you're like, this isn't so bad, right? Because you've had a pickup guy show you how to march and a little bit and wear your uniform and do things. And then you're like, all right, I think I can do this. And they're like, here's where your barracks is going to be. And they assign you a number. I'll never forget my number. It was 39. That was my rack. And I was more toward, thank God, right close to the quarterdeck. So from my rack, if I looked right there, that was the drill instructor's office, and the quarterdeck was right there, pretty close. And and they come out, and you're sitting Indian style, and they're like you always do.
So you were closer to the.
Yeah, I was all the way at this end. If the barracks is like this, and it's huge. This end is where the stairs are, and they got like weights there, which you never use.
The F end.
Yeah, and then the quarterdeck is here.
Yeah.
So the quarterdeck, I was probably 10 yards from the quarterdeck.
Yeah, okay.
And,
I was just wondering if there was, because you said you scored high in your ASVAB. I was wondering if there was some logic to where they put people. I know we had the master
I didn't actually know about my score on the ASVAB. I mean, I guessed when I was in MEPS.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I got to School of Infantry when they assigned jobs. I'm like, I didn't ask for that. And they're like, that's where you're going. And then I figured out the guys I was with, because there were 8 of us out of 80.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we had to do 6 more weeks of infantry training. And these cats are already on the bus going to Camp Lejeune. Yeah. And we're like, I thought I was being punished. I thought I failed.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I thought I had failed something. Like, wow, well, that guy's, I thought he was smarter than me, and he's here. So it can't be that bad. And it's not until then. They keep you in the dark. They're like, okay, you're here either because you're going to do mortars, tow gunner, or what used to be flamethrowers and shit is, they called it at that time, Dragon 0351.
Some level of explosive.
Yeah, explosive training, which we also had to go through as well. Because if you have a dud missile or something like that, they got to teach you how to use it, the blasting cap, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. Whatever.
Nothing.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to get too far off topic because I keep screwing that up. But like boot camp, like the MEPS, you go over there, and Marine Corps boot camp is different than anything I've ever seen. You have zero contact. You don't see TV. You don't call anybody on the phone. None of that, man. There's no breaks. You can never all right, everybody step outside for a smoke. None of that, man. You are never not watched.
Yeah.
So for 13 weeks, you are never not right under the thumb. Right. So, but it's amazing how quickly you get used to that. And even team week, when you've made it that far, and then now you have to go, they're going to assign you to a job. So they're going to take, 10 of you are going to go around Paris Island and cut grass and shovel mulch and shit, right? Landscaping. 10 of you are going to go do this. 10. And I got chow hall. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
But I had lost so much weight, I think they were not worried about it. But the chow hall was fucking miserable, dude. You already get up early.
Yeah.
But now you got to get up at 3 a.m., and they walk your ass over there in the dark. And Paris Island in the morning just smells like pea soup, feet, dead fish, crab mud of something. And you're just like, and all you can hear was, which is kind of haunting and cool. You just hear all the boot falls everywhere. I did like that part. I really do miss that. Like just the structure.
Yeah. And
they march your ass over to the fucking chow hall, and you're just a bitch there. You do what they tell you to do, right? And the guys running the chow hall, these guys are Marines, but they're not drill instructors. And so they're like, hey, dickhead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't even call you that. I think you're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can you go do this? So they just kind of run. Now you're doing a job. But I handed out all the desserts. And so one dude figured out if he just told me he was a double rats recruit, I would give him double rats.
Yeah.
That's what I was told. But it's military. They should know. So I was like, it is a lot of guys getting double rats, but whatever. This is my job. So somebody figured out to act like, I was doing something. Because these fucking Jones started coming and start screaming at me. And I'm just sitting there holding pie. Like, and I hadn't slept in 2-3 days.
Yeah.
I got this crate. Oh, by the way, they fuck up all your laundry while you're in boot camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's the guy's job at night doing fire watch to collect it all and throw it in the wash.
Yeah.
And believe me, by about, week 1, they don't give a shit. They just fucking, it might not have even went through the dryer.
Week 1.
Yeah, they're like, I've never done this. And so you're just wearing everybody's underwear. It's just crazy, man. So I got this fucking crotch rot. And I know that sounds terrible. It's not an STD. It's just,
chafing and
tenactin.
Yeah.
What do you, like the same shit you get on your foot.
Jock itch.
Yeah, jock itch.
Yeah, it's a fungus.
Well, I didn't know what it was. Never had it because I don't do that.
Yeah.
But it was terrible. I was like in the shitter at the chow hall. And you can never work at the chow hall your platoon goes to, obvious reasons, right? You'd be hooking dudes up if you could. And, dude, it was bad. It was real bad. And my bunkmate was this dude named Brooks. I'll never forget. But listen, he had a twin brother, 2 black guys from New York. And they were squared the fuck away. And I became really good friends with Brooks. And he saw me suffering, this guy. And I'm like reading a letter from home. That shit's like gold when you're at boot camp. And this sounds weird, but you would even trade and like here, because just want new shit.
Right.
That's how. I don't think people in this day and age understand that guys would used to give each other letters.
Yeah.
And like, hey, read this.
It's like TV, man.
It's all you had.
Yeah.
And it was so exciting and I loved reading about Brooks' family.
Right.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
And we traded off.
Yeah,
and he's like, hey, I heard that shit happened about last week. And you could actually quietly have these. You had 45 minutes at night. It was not free time. It was time where the drill instructor wasn't going to crack your ass. And you're polishing your boots and shit. But anyway, he saw me suffering. And he goes, man, have you ever tried this shit? And it was tenactin. And I was like, no, but I'll try anything. And I sprayed it. And we were standing up on line, right? So on line means you're standing this way and then the other half of the barracks, you're facing each other.
Yeah, we call it GQ.
Same thing, whatever. General quarters, yeah. So we're standing there. And I was like, bro. It felt like the devil held a giant cigar up into my crotch and just left it there. And I was like, So I thought, it's working. I just couldn't believe the amount of pain.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I heard this dude across the way, oh God, what was his name? Short little white dude, man.
Whitey.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, he's like, Lazur, you okay? And I was like, yeah, why? And he goes, oh, I don't know, because you're going like this. And I had no idea. And also I love that about the military. Motherfuckers call you out. Oh, I don't know, because you're doing this. Like, you don't. And, dude, but the next day, that shit was healed.
Yeah.
And so, and then Brooks and I are still friends to this day. And the cool thing was, his twin brother was the platoon guide. Like, he maxed out everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kicked ass on everything. So did I. But the cool thing was, I got promoted. So, I don't care about being a guide.
Yeah.
There's too much attention to that thing. And I will say this one thing. This one thing is about, racial tension. Because you brought up earlier. All right, these dudes are all... So, most of my drill instructors were black dudes. And they were the baddest ass black dudes I ever met.
Yeah.
And they were squared away and everything else. But that doesn't mean all over Parris Island. That just happened to be my platoon.
Yeah.
And then, remember, the other heaviest drill instructor was Push Palm. And he was Thai. And that cat was racked and stacked. He'd been to every combat operation known to man. But he was not a tough drill instructor. Believe it or not, he was actually the nicest one. Probably because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Span was the hardest. And then senior drill instructor Staff Sergeant McClellan, he was squared away. He was just like, I just remember seeing him after graduation. I'm like, well, thanks for not dropping me. I was always worried I was going to get dropped for my weight. Because I wasn't keeping track of my weight. They were.
Yeah.
And then they were like, dog, we were trying to keep you alive. You didn't know that? You lost so much fucking weight, we got worried. And then he goes, at the end, he's like, Lazur, You work too goddamn hard for me to fucking drop your ass.
That's the same.
But 13 weeks.
Yeah.
You think you're about to lose it, so I worked my ass off.
Yeah. I had the same guy comment something to me because I work in the galley as well. They have
that's a bitch.
Your work week or whatever it is.
People don't understand how hard that is.
For 7 days, I go in and I didn't get to serve food. I was fucking always wiping down chairs, changing the fucking drinks.
I did that and served
and mopping. Food. There was like 4 or 5 different mops. Like this mop goes in that area, that mop goes in this area.
It had to be specific.
Don't fucking mix the mops up, you know.
I got so pissed one time. I just dumped a whole bucket of shelled eggs into this big ass vat of broken eggs. I'm like, fuck these people, man. But also hadn't slept, man. That's sleep deprivation.
I remember just like you sleep deprivation. You're doing all their job, and then one of the
you're dirty, man.
The line cooks, like they do roll call or whatever, and they call your name and they look up at you and check you. I remember this dude looked up at me and goes, "Hamill." I'm like, "Here," and he looked up at me and goes, "Hamill, you look like you've been in the fleet too long."
I love shit like that. That's a compliment.
Yeah, at the time I couldn't process it.
He's telling you you're salty.
It doesn't sound that negative. Like,
so I went to machine gun leaders course when I was a boot. When I first got to my unit, fast forward, a similar thing happened. You're in there with like lance corporals, people that had been in the fleet for like a year, like already went through all the training. And people say Marine Corps boot camp is 13 weeks, but that's not true, man. They make it sound like that, but then SOI is another 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's really 6-8 months of training before you're even considered a real Marine, and then you need a deployment or something under your belt or a year's work.
Yeah.
So
there's always something. There's always something to move up to.
Well, the British will say, "Oh, they train British Royal Commandos for 20 weeks or whatever it is."
Yeah.
Well, you kind of do this. It's the same everywhere you go, because don't tell me for 1 second, dude, the real training starts when you get to the F motherfucking MF, Fleet Marine Force. You get there, say what you want. These cats are smiling at you. Cool, man. You just be here this weekend? Cool.
Everything has its own version of suck,
that's cool.
You know?
Later on Saturday, we're going to get drunk and tape you between 2 mattresses and throw you off the top into the water.
You'll be safe because you'll be between mattresses.
But listen, you seem hard. You'll make it. And the real fucking hard guys are the ones that let you know the shit's coming.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not. Yeah. What should I do? The answer is nothing. I can deal with it, dude. And that's why I had such a good time, because I was like, whatever they tell me to do, it can't be that bad.
Right.
Sometimes, but you know. But anyway, man, it built the biggest amount of camaraderie you will ever experience anywhere. And I think the problem, like with when guys our age and everything like that, you look at the military, you're like, you don't want to see that fade away because you know it helps. I mean, dude, undeniably, how well did my time in the Marine Corps help me in the rest of my life? Now I have 2 kids. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Just your ability to process shit, the unknown, like,
and to take hard times.
Yeah, anything thrown at you, like
overcoming adversity.
Right.
Believing in yourself, understanding how to fix a situation without freaking out.
Like having the shit hit the fan in civilian life.
And
like,
staying calm.
A totally different situation than the military. And it could be harder, it could be less hard, but just because you've done something hard, you can say, I can handle this because I did that.
I've had the same thing.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I mean. It rolls over.
The military experience is undeniable.
Yeah. And it's helped me in every single way. And you do that honorably. And all you got to do is keep your fucking nose clean for 4 measly years. You know? At least. Right?
Yeah.
And thank God, that's one of the first things this one guy told me. He's like, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I came home. I luckily had a 96-hour leave. The whole battalion did. I was in 1-8. And I came home, and I was going to go to Easter service with my girlfriend. Which, Jesus Christ.
Hell yeah.
You got to wear your dress blues. You're like...
Not going to make the Marine service.
Yeah. How long do we have to stand up?
It's going to be the death.
And when you sit down, it's like... one button goes through the wall.
Through someone's fucking eye.
Yeah. And this shit was just fitted, man. Is this right? Anyway, you're sitting like this. And man, when you put yourself out there like that, I love wearing the Marine Corps uniform. And when I finally, a year in the fleet, you learn how to wear the Marine Corps uniform.
Yeah.
Like they teach you in boot camp, but it looks kind of shifty.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you can tell a guy in the fleet, his shit just, like he's walking around, he's smoking a cigarette, like, and the shit looks perfect.
Yeah, there's another level to it.
Yeah.
After boot
so
camp.
By that time, I had it squared away, and I was in this church, which, and then this guy goes, so, I see you're like, yeah, in the Marine Corps. Right? Yeah, he got me. And he's like, gives me a card, like he's doing me this big fucking favor. I'm my first year in the fleet. And he's like, you come see me after this. He's like, Marines are special people. You keep your nose clean. You'll be all right. You know what he was? He was like head of Federal Parks and Services.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, thank God. Are you telling me I could be a park ranger and make $18,000 a year? And maybe get mauled by a bear?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Damn, that's why I'm going to do 4 years of hell.
Exactly what I'm telling you.
That's why I'm going to put myself through pure hell so I can meet you.
It'll be the same. It'll be the exact same as what you're doing now.
I'll treasure it. I'll treasure it. Hey, by the way, Marines don't have pockets. Dumbass. So here's your shit back. Yeah, no flick it. So that actually happened. And then the really cool part is, by the time you're an NCO, you got your blood stripe and everything, sword. Then
is that the pants?
Yeah, you get a red stripe once you.
So that's an addition. That's something that gets added on.
Yeah, your blood. It's called a blood stripe.
Okay.
It's for all the NCOs lost in that battle.
We don't have any
can't remember
decorations for the pants. We have things on the sleeve. Some people.
Oh, the Navy's.
Some people
the
have
naval
the
sleeves. I can't even figure out how you guys lift your arms up after a while.
Yeah.
It's like that Kung Fu Hustle, like the rings.
Everything gets thrown on the upper part of the uniform.
But yeah, but that's just one part. The blood stripe is just one part, and then, but that's the thing. Like any Marine would know that, especially enlistment. And all officers have blood stripe.
Okay. But
it's slightly different color. Have you ever noticed officers have it all black? Well, it looks black, but it's dark navy blue. Right. Whereas enlisted Marines, there's a red little. Well, I have my jackets upstairs, but
we should change into it right now.
So I told you about that, man. It ain't happening without some serious equipment.
I mean, with the magic of camera, we can pause this and.
No, buddy.
It won't cost these guys.
I'll be like this.
Any amount of time.
I'll be like this. You want to see? It's really bad. And not only that, the officers wear a shirt under their leather neck. Whereas enlisted Marines, you know what's under that beautiful jacket? T-shirt. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you wear.
Was a T-shirt.
The jacket's everything. And it's about $400. Bullshit, man.
I didn't like that my thing, like our dress was a...
when you get your full dress blues as a Marine, $1,000, man.
Yeah.
And you're only making about $1,000.
Yeah, maintain uniform is no joke. You keep that shit together so you don't fucking...
I mean, it comes together like year 3 when you really know your shit.
Yeah.
And you get that yearly allowance. And you're like, whoa, I got super paid.
Right.
Like in late January. Like the new year. Yeah. That's when you get all your allowances.
Do you guys get paid right away when you make a rank?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean your next LES.
Yeah, you get delayed a whole year. So I made E5.
A fucking year?
Yeah, I made E5, and you receive E4 pay for a whole year before you get paid as an E5. So you walk around with the responsibilities in E5, but you don't get paid for it. For a whole year.
No, you walk around carrying the responsibilities of an E5. Yeah, you're not getting paid. No, I've never seen that.
And then I got out, so I think I had like a month or two as E5 pay. And I was already processing.
Maybe you're onto something. Maybe I just didn't care because I was single, which very intentionally stay single in the military for a young man and women. If you're only, dude, I only ever went in to do 4 years to get myself established and learn, and I think it was the best 4 years of my life, even though at the time it seemed like some of the worst 4 years of my life. Yeah. But then I didn't know. It was going to be another 4 years. After that first 4 years, there was another 4 years where I was like, hey, it's not getting any better. Like, every rank you pick up comes with shit, man.
Yeah.
But the best rank in the United States Marine Corps, I have to say, has got to be a sergeant. You know, a staff sergeant.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's so sergeant's E5.
Yeah.
E6. Now you're political. Now you're dealing with officers. Right. You're dealing with the overall.
Because the next stop is E7, and that's a whole nother fucking ballgame.
That's company level.
Yeah. So they prep you for that show.
Yeah.
So E5 is where it's at. You get the E5 as fast as you can.
Well, first of all,
sit on that motherfucker.
Sit on it for 4 years if you can. You know why? Because you're God of the E level. Like, everybody, you can 400 yards away.
Yeah.
Hey, dumbass, come fucking see me.
You got to know your shit though. Like we had guys in the boat. Like we had a fucking E.
And that's another thing I love about the military: accountability, man. They're going to be like, this happened because you fucked up.
We had an E5 show up to the boat, and this dude was just fucking telling people where to go and what to do. And it didn't take long for us to realize, like, you want me to go where? Like, go to such and such bay and get this. I'm like, that fucking bay doesn't exist on this goddamn submarine. Like, where the fuck do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? He's like, he was from a boomer, never went out to sea. Right? He's
telling you what to do.
Somehow he got sent back to fucking our boat, and he's just up here. And I mean, everything's submarine and on top of that, this Pacific Fleet, like, you're pretty chill. Like, it might sound like insanity, but the hallways are small. You go
Pacific Fleet. First thing I think of is you guys just roasting a hog with pineapples.
Right. You're in your dress whites because the temperature never changes.
Because it's hot.
Right. So it's one uniform right there. You're
going to roast a pig with pineapples.
You never have to change into winter gear. And then
roast a pig.
Yeah. It was in fucking Hawaii. So you pass, you rub wieners. Every now and then, you get in someone's shit just for fun, You could do that to an officer. If you passed an officer and you got this fucking close to him, like as you were passing, and you just horsed around with him.
You start making out?
Whatever, what have you. Like, it would be okay.
So, I mean, I can tell you.
And to hear the stories of like
how that shit would go in the Marine Corps is different.
Exactly. Yeah. And even the surface fleet, people are like, there's no fucking way you would touch. You don't touch an officer at all.
Well,
you don't even touch a chief. Like, you could fucking nut check a chief if you wanted. Not all the time. Not all the time. E7. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In the Marines, I don't think you could do this to an E7.
Right. If you were classy about it, if you were like, what the fuck is that? And then,
or if you knew it, you know what the biggest
right chief,
you know what the biggest, exactly. You have to have been on deployment with them.
Yeah,
combat deployment, you can do anything you want.
Exactly.
And then, but the other thing is, you could not pull that. You can't pass a sidewalk.
Yeah.
You can't be on the sidewalk and pass an E7, E8, and if saying nothing is as bad as saying something. Like if you don't say good afternoon, First Sergeant, or good afternoon, Sergeant Major, or whatever, it's just as bad as going, hey, what's up, faggot? We might as well be saying that. You're getting the same amount of trouble.
We were in officers' berthing because they got their own head, and so we're doing maintenance on the bathroom.
I used to get in there all the time because they like the way I answered the phone.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I grew up in a naval officer's home, so I know how to answer the phone.
Yeah.
And so they love having me down there, and I don't have me down. That's easy duty. Company office.
Yeah.
Drive the fucking staff officer around. Go somewhere, and answer the phone. Weapons company. But damn it, why was I telling you that?
Because I was ready to go into my own thing, which I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off either.
What's this guy doing? Is he using laser rangefinder on us?
God forbid they come in the machinery room and ring.
So the intimidation thing I was talking about, that you reminded me of, so that, when I entered boot camp, I was 30 pounds overweight from my height. And that went away so fast, dude. Unbelievable. And they got a little nervous. They actually took me off. Yeah. And they were like, you need to eat more. Yeah. And so anyway, went through all this stuff. And I knew I wasn't the fastest runner and all. Anyway, fast forward toward the end of boot camp, and I was in the top 5. It's mental attitude, man. It's mental, like, I told you motherfuckers I was going to catch up and do. And so when it came to climbing the rope, I'm like, I was nervous about it because no one tells you. Well, first of all, you get there, you climb this rope, there's no knots. I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
And the dude, actually, it was another recruit who had been kicked out of officer training. And he's telling me, he goes, because I was like, and he goes, hey, man, do like this. Just grip the rope with your feet and then inchworm up. And I was like, okay. And at first I couldn't do it. And then I was like, oh, my God. Once you get it, you get it.
Yeah.
And so I inchwormed all the way up to the rope, and you got to grab the top post. With, it's like 30, 40 feet.
Yeah.
You're all the way up there, and you have to say, Recruit Lejour, Platoon 2113, with the awesome Senior Drill Instructor Staff Sergeant McClellan. And he looked up at me, he's like, he didn't even hide his smile. He's like, get down, Lejour. And he was, what I'm saying, because I could not do that shit at first.
Yeah.
And then later on, it just got better and better, and that motivation got better. And I'll never forget this one. We had this one morning, it was brutal PT, man. We had to run, it was boots and utes, which is your camouflage pants, web belt, boots, and a t-shirt, and your web gear, and your fucking rifle. Well, they call it an LBP, load-bearing vest. Put it on, it's like your magazines and all that shit.
Yeah.
Ass pack. And you're running with this shit around the sand track. And it just didn't seem that bad. I mean, first of all, we weren't running as fast because of all the shit. But then they would say, switch it to the left hand. And then you switch your rifle to the left hand, right hand, forward arms. And we're running all this shit. And I finished that. And then I didn't know what else we're going to do, man. They never tell you. Now we're going to do the O course. I mean, how bad are they going to kick our asses? Then all of a sudden, once we got lined up in our platoons to go, and I'm a sweater. I was drenched in sweat, man. Mm-hmm. And the sun, by the time you get done PTing in Paris Island, the sun's just coming up and getting everything warm. And the euphoric energy that came through me when I was standing in formation, and a lot of dudes did fall out. And they'll take those guys and they go to pork chop too, bro. They're going back. Now they're going to be at boot camp. And the big catch was I was scheduled to graduate December 19th, 1997, which means if I got pushed, I'd be there through Christmas. I got a girlfriend home, all this shit going on, right? So it was just a focus of mine. And not only that, I didn't want to fail. And so pushing through that all the time. And then you get all the way to the Crucible. And by then, I can walk on water. I'm Captain Kick-Ass, right? All I got to do is go through the Crucible. And they're like, the Crucible, you have to hump like 30, 40 miles, whatever it is. Which you don't even do that in the fleet. Not at one time. But they do 30, 40 miles. But they do it 8 miles, 10 miles. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the nights and days. And it's 3 hours of hell. You don't sleep. Yeah. You get 1.5 MREs or something like that. It's not fun, but by that time, dude, 3 months of conditioning, like, if at any time in your life you can handle it, it's then. And so Crucible is, I would say the biggest thing about it is you already have the conditioning. If you made it to the Crucible, you're conditioned physically. But it becomes mental because you don't get any sleep. And I don't care if it's South Carolina. I was there. It was December, bro. If it rained a little bit, it was fucking cold as motherfucker, right? And you're out there, you get sweaty, you get cold. So they give you this, like, drink that hot wet, drink it now. And you know what it is? It's hot chicken broth. Yeah. And, buddy, it tastes like gold. You're drinking that shit, slurping it down more. You can add more. It's just chicken bouillon. Yeah. But you go to all these courses. Like, you got to figure out how to get through this crazy course. And all the red marks or booby. So you have to do this teamwork stuff. But the biggest thing is you'll be running through the woods with your little squad or whatever, and they have these fake wooden helicopters to teach you how to get on and off. And then they'll have a zone. You get in there, it's just a big pit. And, drop your shit, you're going to fight. And you didn't know it was coming. Yeah. And it's 2-on-2. And I was like, we had this dude, Sullinger, who had been kicked out of OCS and then enlisted. And he was big. Everyone had these expectations for him. And how they do it is you kneel. So you'll appreciate this. You kneel down, and your partner's right here. You kneel down, and then the guys you're going to fight, their backs are to you. Yeah. And you kneel down. You're touching backs. I see. And when they blow the whistle, you stand up, and you kill each other. Yeah. And there's a ref there. Well, that dude, Sullinger, stood up, and this about 6'4" black dude fucking leveled his ass with he just knew, like, dude, you didn't think ahead. He stood up like, huh? And the dude's like, crack.
First thing I would know was a baseball swing.
Well, the first thing I would know is that
I can bam, just the first hit and be ready.
But if we're going to stand up and twist,
right,
duck and do a jab or something, that's what I did. I was like, okay, let me plan this. So we stood up. He gets leveled, and I stand up and jab this guy. Actually, pretty bad.
Yeah,
they were kind of worried. They were like, God damn. And he's like, kill. And then I looked at the other guy, and when I was so internally fired up, I didn't have to think about it. I just, because you have like this more than a catcher's helmet on. It's and I looked at him, and I remember thinking, I'm going to fucking murder you. And when I looked at him, he was just like, I saw his eyes blow up, and I'm like, fuck. And that was it. That moment of intimidation, I'll never forget, because I had never been that forward about, and I didn't plan it or anything. And that's when I really felt like a Marine. I was like, this shit's just coming out of me.
Right, exactly.
A little false bravado, but it could have been who I was up against and all that. I get it. But the look at that man's face, when I turned and looked at him, I just killed his partner. Not for real, but, got to kill. And then I looked at him, and I was like, no fucking next. That's what I remember thinking. And he was just like, I don't know, just kill me. And so I was the only recruit in that platoon to get 2 kills. Quote unquote kills. Yeah. And they kind of made a big deal about that later. But that's and then the Crucible is wild, man. And then finally the sun's coming up, and the whole company, you're marching. You go through the town that's around Paris Island, and you walk back. And of course, man, you're light on your feet because you know it's the end. Yeah. And you get back, but don't forget, you still got another week of boot camp after that. Yeah. However, the difference is, I think they give you 5 sets of camis, whatever it is, when you get there, but you only get 4 because you turn 1 in. And in the event you graduate, then they stencil on, or not stencil, they sew on the U.S. Marines thing. You're not allowed to wear that until you graduate. So then for that last week, bam, now you've got your name and U.S. Marines. Yeah. And let me tell you how many times you're marching around and you go and you look down to double check that shit's there. And that's a wild feeling. And when the drill instructor that's been beating the shit out of you and making your life miserable and belittling you or building you up or whatever he's been doing that whole time looks at you and fucking smiles and you haven't slept for 3 days, dude, everybody cries. Yeah. And the reason is just because of that, man. If you've ever been through sleep deprivation, it fucks with your emotions, it fucks with your chemical balance, it fucks with everything. And if any time you need to be familiar with that is war. Because the war doesn't have a schedule like, I'll see you tomorrow on the battlefield. So you got to be... Anyway, that's my epic boot camp story. And a lot of people seem to act like they don't remember boot camp, which... Right away, that's a red flag. Yeah. Everybody remembers boot camp. I remember every aspect of it. I remember most of the guys' names, even where they're from. I remember pool training. Thank God, because I was a good swimmer. Yeah, that was a break.
I'm an okay swimmer now. I was not back then. I tried. I tried the first class thing. I didn't. I got like down and back maybe 3 times, and I'm fucking vertical in the water, like going fucking nowhere, and I'm like. I got the point is like, if I try to get back to the other side, I'm going to drown right in the middle. And they're going to get really pissed because they're going to have to jump in and save my stupid ass. And so
that's what I thought.
I had like 7 laps to go. I'm like, if I was close, maybe.
I told you the only thing that almost held me up to go into class 1 like I did was they said, all right, you got to drag a guy, 150 meters. And I'm like, I can do that. Yeah. Because I just feel like I can swim. I'm a swimmer. I've always been a swimmer since I was 4. So I'm dragging. But the big thing was, remember this: you're dragging a wounded guy, so you have to be able to talk to him. Yeah. Tell him, hey, we're going home. It's going to be okay. Yeah. We're going to get you medical treatment. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's fucking gay.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
I was just like, man, shut the fuck up.
Sleep through this.
But it just felt weird lying to this person. Like, first of all, he's not wounded. We're in a pool. But anyway, like. And he goes, if you don't do that, I'm going to make it more difficult for you. And I'm like, go ahead. So I didn't say anything.
You felt it was so stupid you were willing to take
I hated it. So I'm dragging this dude, right? And I wasn't saying anything. So he's like, all right. And he starts pulling back and on. And I'm like, come here, mother. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and go, come on, buddy.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay. I felt. Don't forget, I'm 21. I'm like fucking gay, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I started going. It's gonna be okay, buddy. It's gonna be all right, buddy. And the guy. I know he tried
to drink.
I know he tried. Yeah, some fucking water. Yeah, it's full of chlorine. But
don't drink the pool water.
Yeah.
Pretend. We're pretending.
The whole thing, the guys are like, we're going to swim with boots on. I'm like, and then they teach you how to blow water in your uniform and pull it back like that so it holds. That was nothing to me. That didn't bother me. The other guy's like,
the only time I had to do
like, they're like freaking out. They look like a dog that got dropped in the water.
We had to do our pants. You tie the pant cuff together, and then you have the waistband.
Oh, yeah, and then put it over,
and just push air into it, and it just inflates like a fucking.
But I know, and then you go like this. You got to keep splashing water on it.
Yeah, you got to recharge it.
Yeah, so
keep reloading.
So the air won't leak out so quick.
The only time I had to do something where I felt dumb as fuck doing it, I was standing lookout.
That'd be most of the things.
So I was already on my ship, was on the sub, and I was standing maneuvering watch lookout. And whenever you're going in and out of the port, there's a shit ton of traffic. But there's like 5 different fucking resources.
Boat traffic.
Yeah, to track this traffic going in and out of harbor. The ANAV is up there, the navigations officer, the captain, the officer of the deck. You got fucking radar. All of these people are looking at the same thing. But the lookout's job is to identify fucking ships and just call out their bearing. Like big ass boat bearing 103. Not as big a boat bearing 106. And I'm not gonna. It just felt because everyone's chattering with each other. And no one is paying attention to your ass.
Oh, dude, this is like
you're almost up there as a tradition.
What you're talking about
at all?
What you're talking about is like being on the net in the Marines. I got in big trouble one time. I got on the radio and went, "Hey, this is Yut Factor 9. Come on back." And some dude was like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you."
Yeah.
And they're like, "This is not a secured net." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. That's why I said it." but I had crypto, so he couldn't find me.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. That's why I said it." He's like, "This is Colonel." I'm like, oh no. But dude, I had like 5 years at that point.
But I remember seeing it's just a god awful amount of fucking boats. And I'm like, and everyone is looking at the same thing. Everyone's attention is on. I'm like, I feel like I'm just fucking extra noise in the background. Like, how can you open my mouth?
You limit your traffic.
Like, I barely know what the fuck I'm doing up there. I'm just supposed to be like, boat, boat, boat.
There's another. That's also a boat.
That boat looks like it's going right, and then that other boat looks like it's going left. What am I supposed to go? Hey, sir, did you hear what I said about
that? Sir, wake up.
Boat? Like, they got maps. Like, it's like you're a fucking guest up there. But they fucking notice if you don't say anything, and they kicked me off just because I wasn't running my mouth.
Yeah.
Well,
that's when you learn the game.
Good. Like,
it's a
fuck
game.
Being up there.
You know what? I'll go play the game.
Yeah.
That's like they put me on staff duty, and then the guy goes to me, give me the belt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is it heavy? Oh, there's a loaded pistol on here. Yeah. Like actual ammo in it. I'm like, hey man, we're on an American base. Like, I'm not going to go running to the front gate with my 10 security rounds in this Beretta 9mm. And the rounds are like, the brass is like dark yellow. Like, this has been here.
Yeah, it's been reloaded.
A long fucking time. Let's see if it works. That's a whole load of paperwork.
The hell yeah, firing off a round.
Oh man, dude, I told you, a guy did it on ship one time, a trash collecting ship.
Yeah.
He was like, we did a 3-round burst in front of one of those little ships that opens up and picks up trash. And I was like, that wasn't me. And of course we go back and turn in our rifles. They're, dude's already